Hey guys, Ash here again at Flight Sim Reviews, and today we're going to be looking at the PMDG 737NGX for FSX and the climb and cruise portions of this review on this great aircraft. Anyways, I just cleared the aircraft to begin our initial ascent to our cruise level of FL 370. Due to the fact we're just past 10,000 feet, we'll now be accelerating up to the speed bug of 316 knots indicated airspeed. You can see here on the primary DU that N1, LNAV, and VNAV speed are our autopilot modes, and that we're right on the flight director there. Obviously, you have your standard timer and chronograph over here. As far as the navigation page goes, you have your standard Boeing modes to look through your plan, VOR, and approach, also just your standard map setting. And I'm going to show you one of the neater features of this aircraft, the terrain display. This is actually in real time showing you the terrain beneath the aircraft. The red is 2,000 feet or above you. The yellow is 1,000 feet or less. And the green you're clear of. You're safe to fly over it. On this display, as you can see, the highest terrain being displayed is 14,200 feet, and the lowest is 10,800 feet. There's of course a position mode if you're tracking VOR, data mode to show you when you'll be at certain waypoints, airports, nearest airports, waypoints, and stations or VORs, NDBs. Pretty standard Boeing stuff there. As it's starting to get dark, I just wanted to go ahead and show you the lighting. Obviously you have the main panel backlights, and then you have floodlights for the MCP and the panel. Same goes for the pedestal, panel backlights and a floodlight if you use it, if you choose to. You also have map light over the seat there, and a chart light. Both of those are functional, which was a nice touch. And above, just backlighting and circuit breaker light control, so you can light up the panel on the circuit breakers. Everything looks really great with the night lighting, guys. Just ends up looking real natural, not artificial at all. The PMDG's done a really, really nice job with it. As far as we have a backup horizon and navigation instruments here. We're in climb mode with 97% N1. Our EGTs, N2, fuel flow, oil pressure, oil temp, oil quantity, and vibration of the turbines. And then our hydraulic panel tells us our pressures and our quantities, brake temperature, and flight control positions. And I mean, everything in this cockpit is just done incredibly well. The closer you zoom in, the better it looks. One such example is the brake pressure gauge here. It just looks great. Going to go ahead and move to the overhead panel. There is a dome light up here, a dim and a bright setting that will flood the cockpit. You obviously have your IRS alignment page here. You can look at your position, wind, and track. Your IRS align switches, leading edge flaps test, radios, FADEC on your engines, crew oxygen, passenger oxygen controls, flight recorder, your Mach, basically your overspeed test, and your stall warning test. Flight control, A and B systems, spoilers, and alternate flaps with your yaw damper. Navigation settings, if you had any system fail, such as the IRS or a radio, you can switch over to which one you want to use. Fuel temperature gauge for the jet fuel in the wings, and your fuel pumps, also a cross-feed valve. Pretty standard stuff for a 3.7. Of course, your electrical control panel, you can look at your generator output, inverter, etc. All those systems you can look at real time and see how they're doing as far as producing electricity for the aircraft. bus panel, wipers, lighting, equipment cooling, emergency lights, seatbelt light control, and then we get into our window heat, our probe heat, wing anti-ice, engine anti-ice. All that, of course, shows that it's in transit when it's moving. Hydraulic pumps, electric and engine driven. Of course, our pressurization system, we're at 7,000 feet and the cabin's climbing at about 150 feet a minute. The differential pressure is going to continue to increase here, and the cabin will slowly climb up to 8,000 feet. Obviously your lights, your ignition switches for your engines. Going back up, your climate controls for the aircraft, recirculation fans, pack control, obviously an off auto high setting, isolation valve, and then your bleed switches, and also your pressurization control for the aircraft. There's an auto, an alternate mode, and then a manual control mode if you had any problems with the main mode during the climb. The master DU's telling me that we're above transition altitude, so it wants me to standardize the barometric pressure for the climb. I want to go ahead and show you the FMC here. Obviously your legs page with restrictions and speeds, route, our climb. It's telling us that our cruise altitude today is 370 and our target speed is Mach 0.80, and that we will reach that in 44 miles or 217 Zulu, and that our maximum thrust rating right now is 98.9%. Again, on your economy cruise page here, the level set is FL 370 or 37,000 feet, and our optimal and max altitude for this cruise would be 41,000 feet. Again, our target speed and our cruise turbine setting, and then our wind. We have 54 knots at 287 degrees, and our fuel in Salt Lake City will be 14.1. Destination forecast, we can go ahead and enter transition levels, etc. Legs page, departure arrival, I showed you that earlier. Holds, and our progress page showing heading, waypoint, and our fuel at each waypoint, as well as our estimated time of arrival at that waypoint. Next, I want to show you one of the coolest features of this plane, the HGS, or the HUD. You can either click here to bring it down, or you can click on this A pillar here. There it is. This is the first parallax-free culminated HUD ever put into FSX. It really does feed the flight crew a lot of data. There's obviously the setting to control your brightness. It's on auto right now. If you go ahead and click it so that it's in manual mode, you can roll the wheel and dim it or brighten it up to your taste. That's all fully controllable. Also, it's fully culminated, so if I turn on my track IR here, guys, if I move my head to the left or to the right, you can see the position of the HUD is moving, but it's not moving at what it's pointing at. Essentially, our vector is staying the same. It's staying true to the angle we're headed. It's just changing from our point of view. Also, if we back up or get closer, you're going to get a little bit of zoom change there. Just a really, really impressive system. It's great if you have a track IR so you can get underneath and adjust some of this stuff that the DU's blocking, or excuse me, the HGS is blocking if it's down. But just very impressive what PMDG has gotten done with that. It's obviously going to tell you N1, LNAV, VNAV, speed, command. That's your autopilot selected mode. Heading, roll rate, obviously your coordinated turn indication, angle of attack, speed bug, altitude bug, speed tape, ground speed, heading, bring here. This is your course. This is your predictive inertial reference here that shows where the aircraft is headed. Obviously we can see that we're doing 1,650 feet a minute vertical speed. Our next waypoint is 87.4 miles away, and we have a ground speed of 421 knots. It does just feed the flight crew a lot of information. Going down to the pedestal here, guys, you can control that. If we were going to go ahead and do a Cat 3 landing, we would go ahead and switch it over to the A3 arm mode, and then tell it the elevation of the runway and the length, and a 3-degree glide slope there. And I'll show you that more during the auto land process. But that's pretty much the program system for the heads-up guidance system that Honeywell makes for this aircraft. And as you can see, we have a fuel indication. That's due to us exhausting the center tank. So what we're going to want to do is come up here and turn off those center tank fuel pumps, and the master caution will extinguish at that point. I'll go ahead and give you an external view of the aircraft. Today I'm flying in the Southwest livery, and just a really great looking flight model. Just a real treat to look at. You can zoom in on anything. It's very high def. It doesn't matter what you want to look at up close. It looks really good, whether it's vortex generators on the windshield or the pitot static system there. Also, I'll show you one of the cool things since we're in Southwest livery. We can go menu, PMDG setup, aircraft displays, and then we can go ahead and change over to Southwest's actual cockpit here, guys. This is the cockpit they use. They had a lot of line pilots that used to fly these aircraft with analog gauges, so this just mimics the position and look of the analog gauges, so the flight crews don't require so much retraining on the NG series of 37s. So as you can see, it just looks like you're back to your classic analog 37 cockpit. I prefer to leave it in this mode. And one last treat before I go. Very rare in FS aircraft that you can look around and see your wingtip right there. You can actually see it from the cockpit. It actually takes quite a bit of programming for that to occur. And you can also see that we've turned on the wing light to check for anti-ice, or check for ice buildup on the leading edge of the wing there. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Really a really cool flight model. It's a great cockpit. The lighting at night is very nice, very natural looking. Again, it's just a top-notch product from PMDG, as you would expect. It's definitely the nicest plane they've ever produced. It's just amazing that the level of systems and everything else they've modeled here. It's just a joy to fly and a joy to tinker with, and I hope that this gave you a really good look at the climb and cruise portion of the flight. One last thing I'll show you here. We can go ahead and see that we're 242 nautical miles from our top of descent, so that tells us when we'll be descending, and we can go ahead and enter that any kind of approach information. This is a context sensitive key, this initial reference. So anyways, I just wanted to show you one last thing now that we reached cruise altitude. I hope this was informative. I hope it gave you a good look at the cabin and flight deck during cruise and climb. And I hope you stay tuned for more flights and reviews. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it.